and recording. Guys, if anytime, always look to see if I'm recording, because sometimes I get to running my mouth before class starts and I forget to record. So stop me and just say, Dr. Stedman, you're not recording. So always look to see if it says recording on your end, and help me out on that if you would, please. But and like Dr. Reva said, it's time to get started, and I just want to welcome you to class number one. Met a lot of you last night through our town hall, but we just didn't get, that was just basically just a formal introduction to the program. So if you were not able to attend, don't worry about that. You can find it under Module 1. You'll find the recording there and the information that was that Dr. Stone presented as well. His documents are attached there. But welcome to MSA 601. I hope a lot of others join in, Dr. Revis. We're still missing a few students. So, but I hope the others will join in. But I'm thankful that you're here. And as we said last night, for those that were in attendance, it's very, very important that you try to be with us on Tuesday evenings as much as possible. There'll always be a recording. We'll put it in that night, and you can always refer back to it. But there's nothing like, being with us, because this is as close as, and Stuart, I saw your message on there. It is kind of like COVID days, but we've never gotten over it. So this is the way we do life now. But we try to make it as personal as we can, as close to being face to face as we can. And that's the only difference is we don't see you in person. Other than that, nothing else is different in how we run this program. I do want to begin before Dr. Revis says anything. First of all, this is my trademark. I wear hats, and this is why. My head gets cold if I don't wear a hat. But I want us to establish something right now. And you might say, well, that's kind of elementary or whatever, but sometimes elementary is what works. But I'm going to use the hat as an example. I've gone back, those of you that have shared your contact information, and we'll explain all that again tonight. Some pretty interesting, diverse backgrounds, Dr. Revis. I've looked at them. We've got classroom teachers. We've got, music teachers. We've got psychologists. We have full-time daycare. It's like a preschool slash day or preschool leaders in a school district. I had not seen that before. So there's just a lot of uniqueness and different skills and talents that we're going to be able to share in this class. But one of the things that you've got to begin thinking about day one right now is you've signed up for this program because you have a desire to go into school administration. Most of you want to be an assistant principal and eventually one day work into the principalship role. And out of the 100 students that have signed up for MSA 601 this semester, there will be those that end up at the central office, and there may be superintendents in this bunch. We don't know. We would love to think so, but you never know what the decision that you've made. You never know where it's going to take you a year from now, because in a year from now, if you do everything that we ask you to do and you follow through, I promise you, you're going to be fine, and you'll meet all the criteria, and you will be certified and recognized by DPI to be a school administrator by this time next school year. By the end of the summer, you will be able to start applying for jobs to be an administrator this time next year. So we've got a lot to cover in that length of time. But all of you, whatever your role is, that's what you know best. That's your comfort zone. And Dr. Revis and I are going to work diligently to life's not going to be comfortable for you all the time. We're going to get you out of that comfort zone. Because if all you've ever done is taught math, then you've got to know more than teaching math to be able to lead a school. And so that's what we're going to do. So I'm just going to use something. And Dr. Revis, I bought me 2 new hats just for this because they stand out. I'm going to wear the teacher hat right now, or whatever the role is, and it's bright red. So this is the teacher. This is who I am right now. It's the psychologist. It's whatever role you're currently playing. This is who I am right now. Day one. This is where you are. But what I want you to do is, and I want you to, just think about this, and in your mind, you've got to take off that teacher hat right now. Now, does that mean that I forget the role of a teacher? Absolutely not. You've got to always remember who you are as a teacher. You've got to remember the roles of the teacher, because that is vitally important to the success and leadership of any administrator. So you don't ever forget where you came from, but you've got to begin thinking differently right now. You're going to find in just a few weeks, in some of the things that you do, you're going to begin to, you know what the chit chat is in the lounge sometime, or can't understand why in the world that principal did what he or she did, or the assistant principal did, that the talk. I promise you, in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll come back and we'll have a conversation. Dr. Revis, we have not been wrong yet, have we? And we've been doing this a long time. I promise you, in 3 or 4 weeks, you're going to come back, and I could say, Kelly, how are things going now? What is your thought process? And Kelly's going to say, Dr. Stedman, you were right. I understand now why my principal does some of the things that they do, but I didn't understand it before, because you're going to be in that role. You're going to be thinking in that role. So I'm going to take off my teacher hat, and what I'm going to become now is, we're going to call you principals already, because this is day one of a new journey, a day one of a new thinking. And it's our job to help you begin looking and thinking in that direction. So sometimes, Nicole, I can see you. Nicole, I may call on Nicole, or Dr. Revis may call on Nicole for something. And the answer may be, or it may be in the work that you do. It may come across too much like a teacher. And the thought process, when we may send it back and we say, no, you're thinking like a teacher. So we're going to call you on the carpet with it. So don't take offense to it. We're going to say, no, you got to think, you got to begin thinking like an administrator. And we're going to challenge you, and we're going to help you to do that. Okay? So right now, my challenge to you is, take off that teacher hat, or whatever role you are, and put on your principal hat, because that's what we're going to refer you to as now. We're going to refer you as administrators. Stuart, I like the fact that you like hats too. So, and Sam's got his on. So, but anyway, Dr. Revis, if you would move into just your welcome, and if you would talk about the class norms, please.
Okay, while I do that, if you go ahead and pull those up on our agenda, I just want to say welcome again. One of the reasons I love teaching in the program at Gardner Webb is because we don't do a lot of busy work. What we're doing are authentic tasks or projects that you will need to do when you become a school leader. And we dive right in, and we start right in talking about your first task and what you need to do. And you are going to assume a leadership role. Now, many of you already have a leadership role in your school, and so that's great. You've got a little leg up. but we're going to push you immediately into a leadership role. So it's exciting for me to watch you grow in your leadership. That's what it's all about, school leadership. And so it's really great to see your growth as we move through this semester. And you will look back on the semester when we get to the end and hopefully reflect about and can recognize how much you've grown. So we're going to scroll down now and talk about our norms for the online class. We put our two classes together. And so we should have about 40 students when we're all here. So Dr. Stedman, if you'll scroll on
Revis,
down.
before you get down there, go ahead and just talk to them about, what tonight's going to look like.
Okay, great. Well, Dr. Stedman is going to spend some time, about 10 minutes or so, a little bit longer probably, and give you a course overview, helping you determine where things are in your course shell. And that's because, and my hat is off to Dr. Stedman, he designed and put together our new course shell for this semester. We've been working in another version of Blackboard, and he totally redid everything and organized it. So he's going to help you with some organizational things, and also some requirements for the course. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about an overview of our first authentic task. And then we're going to jump right into that task with the school profile and the first task of your big project. Okay. So we got a busy night and we may go over a little bit tonight. So next, let's talk about the norms. Now we're pretty restrictive on the norms because when we put 40 people together, we have to make sure that there's some things established. So first and foremost, which I probably don't even need to say this, is be respectful to your peers and to the instructors. And always, even when you come online to join the class, go ahead and mute yourself and stay muted unless we call on you to unmute yourself. Please show your video. We like to see your faces so we can start putting names and faces together. So when you come online, make sure that you're showing us your face with your video on. Make sure you're dressed appropriately for the Zoom class. We don't want to see you in your jammies. I get it. It's that time of day. I wish I were in mine, but I'm going to respect you enough not to wear my pajamas to our Zoom class. Please let your family members and others in your family or in your living situation know that you are in class during this time and to be considerate of you and not to disturb you. I know that's tough to do. Many of you have told me you have small children, and I get it. It's life. But just try to carve yourself time out and have that conversation with your family that you have to give this your whole full attention because we only have you 1 hour a week. We ask that you hold all questions until the end of the class. And we ask that you do not, and I underscore, do not put things in the chat box. And I'll tell you why. I don't look at them. I'm teaching. Dr. Stedman doesn't look at them because he's teaching. So write them down, and then we will give you time at the end of class to either put your questions in the chat box or ask the questions out loud. But I think personally, it's very it's diverting my attention when I look at a chat. Maybe I'm just not good at multitasking at my age, and I know you guys are. But we ask, please give us your attention 1 hour a week. Okay? Can we all live with those norms? Give me a thumbs up if you can. Okay, Dr. Stedman.
Okay, thank you. And again, we will not stop class tonight until your questions have been addressed. Most of them, if not all of them, will be addressed during the class. You'll think of something and then we will cover it. But we're not going to stop until we address those needs at the end of class. If it doesn't apply to you and you feel comfortable with when we get to that point, then you can hang around as long as you want to. until the last one closes out, or you can say, I'm through, and you can go ahead and zoom out. You don't have to stay with us if you feel comfortable with things at that point. Okay?
So, Dr. Stedman, how do we take role in this class? Who's attending the class tonight?
Okay. Um, First of all, we want you here, but attendance in the Zoom class is not a requirement of the university. Again, we highly recommend it. The most successful students are those that show up for the hour or whatever, the few minutes over sometimes that we provide instruction. For the simple reason, Dr. Revis has another life. I work a full-time job, have another life. So if you're not here, we can't go over all of this same information one-on-one with you. So, we'll put the video in there. But if you're here, that means that if there's any questions about anything that you've got to do or something that we have said that you don't quite, we can clear that up while we have you in class tonight. So please, it's very, very important that you're with us. I'm going to come back to this agenda before we leave. So Dr. Rivers, don't let me forget about it because I need to show them some of this other information. Um,
So guys, how we take attendance?
okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't answer your
That's
question.
okay. So how we take attendance is you have assignments that are due every week at the end of this week. And if you don't do your assignment for the week, whether you're here or not, then you're absent.
Well, let me go ahead and look at this. This is on your agenda, and you can find this under Module 1. Okay, now these right here are going to be, these are resources. Take advantage of them. You need to read them. As you are working with beginning your first assignment, these will help you. Anything that you see in red means that it's going to be dealing with evidence one that we're going to talk about in just a little bit. Evidence one, the AAPSL. Nothing for what we're going to share tonight with the AAPSL is due this week, but you have to get started. So that's part of your work. All of you should know you should be experts at Zoom or whatever. But anyway, you have a free Zoom account, so go ahead and get that set up. It's for you. It's only going to be, I think, about 40 minutes, but that's about all you need, to be able to do the things that you're going to be doing this semester. And if you need more than that, again, you're the experts. You know how to figure that out. Basically, there's only two things that you need to do this week. And again, we're going to reiterate this at the end. You've got to complete enrollment verification. And I'm going to go back in the course shell and show you where that is. Somebody asked about that. Enrollment verification is for all online students, and it's not for Dr. Revis and me as much as it is for the university. They require that for all online students. And what it does, it shows Dr. and Revis and me that you are indeed enrolled in the class, and it shows the university, the registrar's office, that you have shown up. So you have to complete enrollment verification in two places. If you are in my O2 section, then you've got to complete it for me. If you're in Dr. Revis's O4 section, you've got to complete it for her. If you are in my class, that means Dr. Revis is your clinical coach too, and you've got to go in there and complete enrollment verification for her. And if you're in Dr. Revis's class, I'm your clinical coach too. You've got to complete it in mine as well. So there's two places that you've got to complete enrollment verification, and it's a simple process. It takes hardly no time to do that. The second thing is, as you are scrolling through the course shell, it will ask you information about you, your contact information. You're going to find it. And once you do it one time, you can just copy it and paste it in the other places that you need. But it's in multiple places, and it's there for a reason. So you don't have to go back and search for it every time when you're doing your peer reviews that we'll talk about at another time, or um, working with the teams that you have been assigned to work with. So the only thing that is going to be due, and it's not due until Sunday night by 6 o'clock, but I'm going to ask you, when you finish tonight, it doesn't take long. Please take the time before you close up tonight to go on in there and to do your enrollment verification. That again, that helps Dr. Revis and me out tremendously with knowing who was here and who wasn't here. And then secondly, put your contact information in there, because what it does, it helps us to understand and to know you better. Okay. So with that, Dr. Revis, I'm going to pull up your course shell. And what you're going to find is the section that says getting started in your course. And by the way, the attendance, we take attendance on Monday. Well, we actually can do it on Sunday evening when assignments are due. All assignments are due mainly on Sunday evening by 6 o'clock p.m. You'll find that there are some other varied dates based on what the assignment is, but we do attendance on Monday morning, first thing. And if work has not been submitted that was supposed to be submitted, for whatever reason, there's no excuses. We have to mark you absent. Those are university rules. Now, after 3 absences, it becomes an issue with the university, and you are considered, there could be some academia probation that occurs. That is out of our hands. It belongs to the university. Please don't let that happen. Get your work in on time, and just don't let that happen. You, like Dr. Lamb said yesterday, you've got to devote a certain amount of time, and it's going to take, to do all the work that you have to do once you get started. It's going to take anywhere from 15 to 20 hours a week, to do your work and to do it well. But getting started in your course, in this, you're going to find where you meet your instructor. You'll meet me here. You'll meet Dr. Revis in her class, in her course shell. And this course navigation, and please forgive me, you need to take the time to do this, because this video basically takes you through the course shell that I'm going to briefly go over tonight. But what I have done, I took the time and created a video that basically shows you how to navigate the course shell. Some of the things that I'll talk about tonight. I may have missed some, but if I did, you'll get it as we progress over the next few weeks. Some of the things are not applicable for a few weeks anyway. I will ask you to please forgive me, just like I'm doing right now. I'll say because I'm by myself and I'm trying to figure out where I need to go next and what I need to say. So please forgive that, and don't concentrate on the uhs and the ahs. Concentrate on what I'm trying to show you, okay? But this video will, and I'm not going to get an Academy Award for it, I promise you that. But this video will help you navigate the course better. I'm going to give you some instruction with it tonight, but I'm not going to go over everything. The course description and learning outcomes, you can read that for yourself. This is, you need to look at that, because this is basically what 601 is all about and what we hope to accomplish at the end of 15 weeks. This is where your course texts are. You've probably gotten a message from the university, and they'll call it Dr. Revis Bulldog Bundle. You can order your text from there, but I'm going to tell you, you're going to pay more for it. If you can get your textbooks and they're not, the copyrights are correct, order them from Amazon, order them from, I'm saying thrift, wherever you can get them. If you can get them less expensive, you're going to pay more at that university bookstore. So I would advise you, if you don't already have them, and that they come quickly from Amazon. Check the prices, but you've got to opt out of Bulldog Bundle, because if you don't and you're getting financial aid, they will charge it to your account. So if you're going to get your books somewhere else, opt out. And if you're going to get them from them, go ahead and get your books if you don't have them. Dr. Revis, did I miss anything with that? Can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I don't think so. The only thing we want to reiterate to you is please make sure that you use your own personal PC, not an Apple device. Um, you just need to have your own PC. Don't use one you borrow from school because things go wrong, websites get blocked. You need to have your own PC for your Gardner Web work.
And the HPs seem to work much, much better for this program. Other things, your work will not come through, formats it the wrong way. And when work is finally submitted to DPI, it will not accept the work from all these others. So again, when you do the evidence work that we're going to talk to you about, if you try to put it on another, it's not going to format right, and you'll lose time because we have to send it back and make you do it all over. So from the very beginning, make sure that you use an HP. And again, you can see course text and technology requirements. All that's there. I'm not going to go over it. You can do that. This is important. I've already assigned. I've signed these are Zoom and peer review teams. We're not going to talk about peer reviews tonight, but when I click on that, I want you to notice I've got 4 teams. And if I've misspelled your name, please let me know. If I have missed somebody in my class, now this is my the O2 class, or C2, the O2 class, yes, or C2 class. So this is team 1, team 2. You will find yourself, you're going to be working together as teams, completing group projects and presentations that you have to do, throughout the semester. But these are the people that you're going to work with. So it's important when I tell you to introduce yourself and tell about yourself. Your team needs to go ahead and know who they're working with, and go ahead and reach out to each other and get to know each other better, because you're going to become like a little family over the next year. These teams normally follow through the next for once we establish them, they pretty much follow for the whole year, for the 3 semesters. Dr. Revis's teams will be set up in her course shell as well. This is the first place where you introduce yourself, and several people have already done that. But this is the information that we want. I've had 8 people already respond to this. But your name, your school, your current position, years in education, your GWU email, and that's the only email that we will use, the phone number where you can be reached, and this is for your peer review team, and then for Dr. Revis and me, if for some reason we need to reach you, please share that number. We're giving you ours. Anything unique about you that we'd like to that you'd like for us to know? I've learned some interesting things about those that have already shared. And then your why. Why have you enrolled in this program? Why are you here? So complete that, put it in the response box here, and then it will show up. I found out Bobby Evans is actually in my county, and not far from me. So Bobby said one day I'm just going to get in the car and I'm going to go to South Robinson Middle School and I'm going to check you out. You're probably about 15 minutes from where my office is in Lumberton. So Again, this is for us to know you, for you to know other people, and for them to know about you. You will, there's another place that we want this information. So once you put it in there, just copy it and paste it in the other section, so that it will be in those two locations. And also, I'll want to know about Dr. Revis's class in my internship shell, and she's going to want to know about you in my class in her internship shell. So again, copy this information and put it in there as well. Then this is going to be your syllabus, policies, and other course information. This is important. This is where, and again, we will add to this information throughout the semester, your course syllabus, and it's the same for Dr. Revis and me. The only thing is my name's on mine with my contact information. Dr. Revis is on hers. This is going to be your course schedule for fall 2024, and you will find this in and what this is going to do is going to provide you with week by week, what week by week looks like. This is your recurring link. This is week one. We've already done the town hall. This is what tonight's going to look like, and this is the same information that you found under module one is here. You'll find this information in more than one place. And again, the recurring link to join will always be weekly in here. But this basically is your top. It's going to tell you the resources that you've got to read each week. Now, the reading is independent reading. However, from your textbooks, from the other resources that we provide you that you are to read from. How do we know that you're doing your reading? Because we look for the evidence of that in the work that you do. You will cite references from those books, and things that you are learning from those books. We will look to see that you say, according to Ubben, and especially as you're learning about professional learning communities and establishing working with them. But this goes through week 15. A disclaimer: we have gone through this with 8 sets of eyes over and over and over and over again. The disclaimer is, guess what? We may have still not seen something. So if you catch something that doesn't look right, reach out to Dr. Revis and me and just say, is this correct? And bring it to our attention, and we'll make it correct. We can go in and do the edit. But you will find each week when assignments are due, it's highlighted in that aqua blue. You will see that changes down the road. It's when assignments are due, but guess what? When peer reviews start, we tell you when they're due, and we'll go through that process with you as well. So again, this is week 1 through 15. We've got it laid out for you. These again are the class norms that Dr. Revis went over. It's there. You will camp out in this section. This is the first evidence that we're going to talk about tonight. The AAPSL Evidence 1, the Analysis and Action Plan for Student Learning Resources. I'm just going to click on it because you need to be very, very familiar with everything that we've got in there. Some of the things you can click on and it opens up, but if it doesn't open up, go over here to these 3 dots, and guess what? Download, and it'll open up for you. Some of them, when I copied information in there, some of them became active here. But if it doesn't open up there again, go to these 3 dots and it will open up for you. But we're going to camp out in this section in just a little bit. So we'll be referring back to a lot of this information, but you need to open up every one of these documents. Some of them you need to make hard copies with, and you need to put it beside your computer as you work every day, so you don't have to go back and forth. Make you some hard copies of some of these things that you will be needing on a regular basis. We've done the same thing for evidence too, but you don't need to camp out there at all right now. We will go in 7 weeks, we will get there. We will go over peer reviews next week. We'll start that process with you. Again, this is another place showing you who the Zoom and peer review teams are. Let me see. Let me go on down. Everything about, again, peer review information, we'll go over that next week, but the information's in there. All of this is on the point system. We do need to look at the grading policy. It's on a point system. The most points that you can get in this course are 2,555 points. This is what you've got to do to get an A minus, a B plus. Honestly, in a graduate program, it all should be A's, but this is in case you don't do what you're supposed to do and what we have to do. Let's look at the late work policy. All work is expected to be submitted no later than the due date assigned for each assignment. The system is set up to automatically turn in any late assignment to a grade of 0. Any late assignment will be dropped by 10 points from what the grade becomes once it is graded. When a peer review is not submitted on schedule, it becomes an automatic 0, and that grade will not change. When an evidence task is not submitted as a complete assignment on schedule, it will be dropped 10 points immediately, with 5 points deducted for each additional day it is late. If an assignment is submitted incomplete, it will be given a 0, and 10 points will be deducted automatically when it is resubmitted. The 5-point rule for each additional day will also be applied. This should not apply to anybody. We have to put it in there, though. Okay? They require it, so set up a schedule and work the schedule. Work the schedule. You've got to set aside devoted time to get this done. You cannot, if you wait until Sunday to start on your work, guess what? It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. Excuse my grammar. It ain't gonna happen. You've got to get a schedule set up. And again, the first 2 or 3 weeks, you're going to think, how in the world can I add one more thing to my plate? But you can. Been doing it 13 years, and everybody that has stuck with it figured it out. And after 3 or 4 weeks, they were experts with this. So look at this grading schedule, and and your goal should always be to get the maximum points that Dr. Revis and I can give you. Okay. Further down is your handbooks. Again, the attendance policy, netiquette, and then it gets us. This is the week 1. Module 1 is the same thing as week 1, and it'll always have that date. It'll have that date there, and when you click on that, you'll see that it's everything that we're going to be working with for this evening. It tells you what you've got to do to be successful in this module. It lays it all out. You're going to see the same information about your assignments. There again, it's in multiple places. This is telling you about the enrollment verification, and I'll show you where you do that for those that have not. This is your agenda that we shared with you earlier. Dr. Revis, this is her information that she's going to be sharing tonight. This is the town hall from last night. And when we finish with this evening's class and I get your video uploaded, it will go underneath the agenda right here. I will place it there, and Dr. Revis will place it there for future reference. You can always go back and refer back to this each week as you need to. And anything else that we need to add for this week, we'll just continue adding there under week 1. Okay, so you can always go back there and refer to that. Let me come out of this. Dr. Revis, I'm just about through and ready to to turn it over to you, and I'm going to have to go get me some water. Forgot to get me some. As you go to module 15, past that, you're going to see a section called discussions. That's just a title right there. It's discussions. This again is where you're going to introduce yourself to the peers. So what you did before, just copy and paste it into there. These are going to be your Zoom and peer review teams again. They're going to be in more than one place. We're going to go over this information later on about your peer reviews, but this is where you will discuss things with your peers. This is not for grade. This is for discussion only. And all of your discussion, this is where you will submit items for discussion. And we'll talk about that more next week as we tell you, what has to be submitted first. You'll see some of the things they're not open to students yet because you're not there yet. In 7 weeks, we'll open the AAPSL up and you'll get that information then, but you don't need it now. And then, let me see. One more thing, Dr. Revis. Okay, these are your assignments for grade. This is where you will, okay, let's just say AAPSL Task 1 peer review, when you get to do that. You'll click on that. It'll open it up. Let me show you what it does. This is where you will submit your work, and we'll tell you when to do it. And then it'll go to us for a grade. What do you get? The most you can get are 50 points out of that. How many attempts do you have to submit that? You've got 1 attempt, so you've got to get it done the right time, the first time. When is it due? The first one is due September the 10th, 2024. It's on a Tuesday before class by 5 p.m. You ask, why do we have to turn those in at a different time? That's because it's all a part of completing the work and putting your work in for assignment. And you'll understand this process better once we go over it next week. And you'll understand what the peer reviews are for, why you've got to do them, and why it's so important that you get them in there in a timely manner for your peers. But you can look on that on each of the assignments, and it tells you how many points you get for that and when that can be due. And one more thing, Dr. Revis, and then I'm going to turn it over to you. Up here, you can go to calendar. You click on calendar, and if you click down, let's go down to the 27th, which is today. Let's scroll down, and let's look at 7 o'clock p.m. Do you see there? That is where you could have gone there, and you could have clicked on that, and that would have taken you to the Zoom class for tonight. You go to due dates, and look what it cancel. Let me go to that. Go to due dates, and you see what it does. It organizes it, so it tells you by this Sunday is the first time something is due. The enrollment verification activity. Look, it lightens, it highlights up. Look what you do. You click on that, and it takes you there, and you can complete the enrollment verification there, and you get 1 point for that. But simply that's just to let us know that you've completed the process. So you don't have to everything, all of your assignments. It's just as another place where you can submit your assignments, but it's on this calendar as well. So this is all the way through week 15. We've done that for you. Okay. Revis, I'm going to stop share.
That calendar is an awesome tool. It will help you stay organized, and you're going to have to kind of work ahead a little bit. And there is a routine and a rhythm to when things are due and when you need to do things. But I'll tell you this right now, you are going to have to spend some time every night working on your work. This is a writing intensive program. By the time you finish your first evidence, which is the AAPSL, you're going to have over, oh gosh, 100 pages of writing. So If you're not a good writer, then you're going to learn how to write it in. So the first thing I want to do, I'm getting some feedback. Can everybody check and make sure you're muted? Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And the first thing I want to do is look at, we keep talking about the AAPSL. What in the world is the AAPSL? So let me share that with you. The AAPSL is an acronym for our first big evidence or first authentic task or project. And it's an abbreviation for Analysis and Action Plan for Student Learning. Now, I'm going to give you just a brief overview. All right. We break this down task by task, but I want you to see the whole picture so you get in your mind what you're doing this for. What are you doing the task 1 for and the task 2 so you can know where you're going. So, you're going to do an action plan. And the action plan that you're going to do is very, very similar to what you would do when being a school principal or a school leader, and very similar to doing a school improvement plan. But this is based on student learning. This evidence is student learning. It's not about student discipline. It's not about student attendance. It is about student learning. So I hope that engages in your mind. Oh gosh, we're going to be examining test scores. Yes. If Dr. Lamb were doing this section, he would tell you whether you believe in test scores or not, doesn't matter. If you're going to be a school leader, you've got to accept that's the game we're playing, and you got to learn how to get good at it. So it's all about examining student learning results and making a plan for improving student learning. So this is a visual of a school improvement cycle that was used in South Carolina in 2017. I don't know if they still use it. I like it. It's research-based, and it aligns very nicely to showing you how our AAPSL is a micro school improvement process. So in the middle, we have a school improvement process. The first task of the AAPSL is task 1. You're going to be looking at research, PLC research, not just any research. We use a specific PLC model. And we're going to talk about that tonight. And you will have an organizational meeting. That's just to get organized. The next thing that you're going to do once you organize your PLC, you move to task 2. That's where you do your data dive. Am I doing data on student discipline? No. Am I doing data on school grades? No. You're doing data and examining data and diving into data that is revealed and shown in your school report card. That's the game we're playing. That is what we live and die by. Student learning. That's why we have schools, guys. It's student learning. And if you're a principal and you don't believe that's important, you're in the wrong place. So we're going to do a big data dive, and you're going to facilitate a PLC through that data dive. Then you're going to facilitate your PLC by producing and doing research. And you are going to identify, after we've done this big data dive, what is my most pressing need? And once you identify that, you're going to do research on trying to find solutions by choosing programs, research-based programs or strategies. Then you get into developing your action plan. You're actually going to lead your PLC through development of an action plan. In that action plan, you will develop short range, long range, goals and roles and responsibilities. You will complete indicators of success. How do we know it's working? And what is our measurement to know if our plan is working, etc. This is what we do in school improvement. And then, if you were really doing school improvement, you would have monitoring checks throughout the school year where you tweak or revise based on the data that you're getting as you're going through and looking at formative data. So that's the big picture. And in 7 weeks, you're going to have this done, ready to present to your principal. Now, you may say, oh my gosh, my principal's never going to do this. We don't really care if your principal adopts it or not. We think they will. And I have never had a case or never taught a student whose principal didn't at least do part of your action plan. And that usually happens in the second semester when things are rolling. But you've got to get this whole process done in 7 weeks. So, with that said, I'm going to change gears now. And I am going to pull up our information on our PLC model that we use. Okay, let me get back. I'm going to stop share and then share again. You know, guys, in education, we call everything PLCs, and I know that. We overuse that term for every time we get together, a group of educators get together, but that's not a true PLC. PLCs, we're using the DeFore model of PLCs. And I know many of you know that model. Many of you may have already adopted that model for PLCs in your schools. But if you haven't, we expect you to do that in the PLC that you're going to create. Because our PLC, your PLC for this course, is going to be around student learning and a commitment of learning to each student. And these are the authors of a lot of the research that we have put in the course shell that you can go to the Dover Library and look for, or that is probably out there on some websites. So there are 3 big ideas that we're going to use in this PLC. Number 1, again, the focus is on student learning for all students. Developing that culture of collaboration. That doesn't happen naturally. And we're going to focus on results. After we delve into this and after we develop our action plan, we're going to focus on results. So, first of all, the focus on learning. There are 3 big questions. These are the 4 questions. What do we want students to learn? How will we know when they learn it? And what will we do when students are experiencing difficulty in learning that information? Establishing collaborative culture. Some of you may have already have a lot of experience in facilitating and leading a PLC. But if you're not, this is going to ask you to step out of your comfort zone very quickly. In week 2, you are going to lead a new PLC, and you are going to have to start working on building an atmosphere of collaboration and trust. That doesn't happen naturally. So the first thing in the organizational meeting, you need to set norms. Norms are just how we agree to operate as a PLC, how we agree to make decisions, how we agree to disagree and keep it professional, how we agree to communicate both within that PLC and after the PLC is over. How are we going to communicate? Who's going to take notes and who's going to get those notes out to the members? When are we going to meet? And this is very critical. What information is confidential in this PLC and what information can be shared outside? So you're going to ask teachers to come together to look at student learning data. Sometimes that's kind of tough to do. And so you may want to decide, we're going to keep the student learning data while we're going through the analysis. We're not going to talk about which teachers, classes we're looking at, or scores. We're going to look at student scores, etc. And then again, it's on results. We got to see results. We're here to improve the learning for all students. First and foremost, you have to believe that you have the power to improve student learning. And I know you've probably worked with somebody right now, you can name them, who really doesn't believe that they can make a difference. They believe they're a victim of the circumstance. That's not what we believe in using PLC models. And if you do have some of those naysayers who focus on the students we've got and oh, the poor circumstances from which they come, they can't possibly do this. This is all we're going to get. Then you've got your work cut out for you, because you've got to turn that around. You've got to work on empowering those teachers to embrace the fact that we can make a difference. We can make a difference. And then you'll develop short and long-term goals, as I said before, and you'll examine results. This is in your course shell, a resource from Solution Tree. They carry all of the DeFore and Acre stuff. You can go there and get all kinds of stuff on PLCs. And then again, what we're talking about here in the real world is a commitment to continuous improvement. When you're a school leader, if you say, I'm done, guess what? You need to pack up and go home, because you are done. But you're never done, because there's always room for improvement, always room for growth. And this particular authentic project is about student learning. I don't know how many times I'll say that, Dr. Stedman, but I promise you somebody is going to come back and say, well, I teach music and we don't have student performance data in music. Well, that's true. But if you're going to be a school principal, you've got to step out of your comfort zone and learn to analyze data that's going to be used to measure the performance of your students. Or if you're in CTE, well, can I use the CTE assessments? No. You've got to use assessments and analyze data based on how your school is measured on your school report card. And that is student learning results in elementary, middle, it's reading and math, some science. In high school, it could be a variety of end of course subjects, but we are not talking about CTE stuff, assessments, and we're not talking about authentic performance assessments, because when you're a principal, you've got to focus on student learning. Well, again, a warning, I'm getting back to the PLCs. I had to take a road to Pittsburgh. When you gather together a new group of people, it always has a potential to be dysfunctional or disastrous. That's why it's so important that you set norms, that you set your team goals. You just tell this PLC right up front, we're not going to get sidetracked with worried about discipline or worried about student attendance. You know why teachers want to worry about those two things? Because that's on the students. That's not on them. They have no power to impact student attendance other than some outreach things to parents. They don't have to worry about worry about changing their teaching methodologies for student attendance. But what you're doing here is you're asking teachers to do things differently. And that's what you have to learn to be comfortable with as a school leader. You have to learn. Leadership is about asking people and convincing people to do things that they ordinarily wouldn't do on their own. And that's what this course is all about. And that's what I hope that you can learn. We call them professional learning communities because the L stands for learning for the adults. When you bring adults together and talk about student learning indicators, you're talking about curriculum indicators. You're talking about instructional strategies. Boy, you are immersed in professional learning. Here are some more resources about PLCs, setting them up, action planning, team trust survey, all kinds of things that you can use for your PLC. Now, Dr. Stedman's going to go in to the first task, but you already starting to think about PLCs and who you're going to ask to be on your PLC. And that's one of the things you need to think about this week and need to already have a conversation and need to have a conversation with your principal about. You don't need to start thinking about, oh, we're going to do science. No, you don't know what you're going to do until you do your data dive. But you certainly can think, if I'm a second grade teacher, can I do a second grade PLC? Yes, you can. But this one's going to be on student performance data, looking at your M-class scores or whatever you have in your state or school district. That's the kind of data we're talking about. So think about in your mind, and if you are a CTE teacher, you can work with your CTE teachers, but it's got to be on student performance data in student learning assessments that are reported on your report card. You're going to really take them out of their comfort zone.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Revis. And her presentations, again, are under Module 1 in your Blackboard shell. So, you've got all this information that you can refer back to. Remember when I was doing the course overview and showing you different places to camp out at, I told you that one of the sections was the AAPSL materials and resource section, the evidence one that she's just talked about. What I've done, I'm just going to pull up some of those. You need to go back and you need to look at that section yourself. But this is what you're going to find. These are the tools that you're going to use that's going to help you get started. And I'm just going to show you this. This is this is the only time you'll get this is this semester. But we've given you a completed AAPSL. A completed AAPSL that's, we're not going to say that it's, that it's everything's perfect in it, but it gives you a model to go by. So, use this. You cannot copy from it, but you can model from it. And it has all 5 tasks of the AAPSL embedded in this. So I would advise you, I'd make me a copy of it, a hard copy of it, and have it, at my work area. You're going to also see the AAPSL template. You must use this template. Page 1 is going to be just like you see here. Evidence 1, the only thing that you're going to do on page 1, where it says your name here, I see Vanessa Briggs. Vanessa Briggs is going to put Vanessa Briggs right there. That's the only thing you're going to do on that page. Everything else that you see in black stays just like it is. You copy it just like it is. Now, you see this, once you understand this, you're going to take where it has highlighted areas, add your text here, red, and you're going to take these 3 things out after you know what to do. Anytime you see something on your template that is in yellow, anytime you see yellow highlighting, that means you've got to write. You've got to do narrative work there. When you see red text is a reminder and should be deleted before adding your text. You did. It's giving you suggestions, reminders. Once you do that and you're through with it, you take it out. You take all the red out. Anything that's in black stays, except this little statement here. You take it out after you get through understanding that. But if it's in black, you don't change it. You don't do anything differently to it. The same spacing, leave it just like it is. So again, if you see something in yellow, that means you got to write. If it's in red, that means that we've given you some suggestions. Once you decide what you're going to use, take that red out and then move on. And if it's in black, that means it stays. Your first task, and this is going to be, you start working on this immediately. It's going to be your school profile. This is your heading, school profile. And again, we've highlighted it in yellow, but that means you're going to take the yellow out and you're going to leave the black in there. Okay. Dr. Revis is going to go over this next week, but everything you do has to be in APA style, 7th edition. And we will start those lessons next week on what you need to know for the purpose of this course. So APA 7th edition, if you don't have one, you need to get you a manual. That's part of the textbooks that you've got to get. But again, you see the black stays. This tells you what you've got to do, what you, the candidate's in charge of. In first person, this is what you do using APA guidelines. I'm not going to read all that. I'm going to go to prompt 1. This is where your first assignment begins. It's not due this week, but it means that you have got to get started on it. Let's go back to school. Go back to the school profile search. What is the school profile? It comes up before your task. The school profile is telling the story about your school. Again, I see Nicole. Nicole may work at X elementary school, and she's going to talk about X elementary school, and she's going to tell all about it, the demographics. She's going to talk about some about the surrounding community, the history of the school. A lot of the schools has a lot of history built around them. Some of the community-based schools. Some of the schools merged, and 2 schools became one bigger school. What is the history of your school? And we've given you an example of what a school profile looks like in that completed AAPSL example. So you can see that. But what you're going to do, we don't want a dissertation. We want just a good story about your school. Tell your story. When I read it, or when somebody else reads it, they should understand. They should understand your school. In an abbreviated, the Reader's Digest form. What your school is about, where it's located, some of the specific intricacies about your school. You tell about that. So that's the first thing you get started on, and you can get started on that immediately. And then this is task 1, prop 1. The candidate, with the approval of your principal, is going to research the tenets and functions of a professional learning community while assuming a leadership role in developing and organizing a PLC. The supported narrative must completely and thoroughly address the following. So again, if it's in black, you're going to put it there. You're going to put prompt number 1, you're going to write this information out. Your first heading is going to be PLC research. PLC research must include, again, this is red, so that's giving you suggestions, information. PLC research must include a minimum of 3 sources and be written in APA format. The research should conclude with a complete description of the candidate's PLC design. One of your 3 sources should be a Richard DeFore reference on setting up and leading PLC. So you're going to do a mini research here. not a dissertation, but a mini research. Now, how long is long? It's long enough to give us a good understanding of what, a PLC is. You're basically talking about what is a good PLC. According to the four, a PLC is. According to the four or others, you're going to talk about the design of it. You can talk about setting up the norms, et cetera, et cetera. You're going to do a mini research project there with a minimum of three different resources. If you use the four three times, you can't use the four. You still got to have at least two others. I'm not saying you can't use the four three times in there, but you still got to have two others. So a minimum of three, with one of them being the four. Then your PLC selection. You're going to document, you're going to decide who's going to be on my PLC team. And I'm going to go to the helpful hints document a bit. Just camp out there. You're going to go to the PLC selection, who's going to be on my team, and you're going to talk about their strengths and the team members. Then you're going to have a PLC meeting. The first meeting is only to go over. You're going to go over, thank them for being on your PLC, inviting them, letting them know what the norms are, establishing the norms as a team, and basically set up standards when you're going to meet, those kinds of things. You're not coming together to talk about what the most pressing need is. All you're doing at this point is getting started. So I'm going to come out of this. This is your template. This is what you follow. You use this to that's the outline that you put your work on. Then, Dr.
Dr.
Revis,
Stedman,
let's
may
go
I,
ahead.
while you're pulling that up, can I interject a couple of
Yes,
things
yes, ma'am. Yes,
about
ma'am.
your PLC? When you're thinking about your PLC, of course, you got to get permission from your principal. You do need to know that your PLC, you'll have to pull that PLC together every week, for about how many weeks, Dr. Stedman? 4 weeks, five?
Four, and it could be five. It could be 5 weeks.
Yeah. And you really need to think about holding your PLC meetings on a Wednesday or Thursday. Then that would give you, starting Thursday night, that will give you a chance to do your writing of what you did in your PLC. So you want to find people who are willing and committed. And I know your first thought is, teachers are so busy, they're not going to want to do this. Guys, your colleagues will help you. Remember, leadership is convincing people to do things they don't want to do on their own. So you've got to be convincing and ask them to go with you on this journey.
Revis, can you pull well, never mind. So for some reason I have uploaded the wrong, I've got to go back in tonight and put in the correct helpful hints document. But the helpful hints document is under your resources. Give me time to go in there and correct it and put the right one in before you copy it. The helpful hints document is just taking what we've just talked about and putting everything in layman's terms. We, Dr. Revis and I, and the 601 staff, we've come together and we've just broken it down step by step by step. That will be in there. Use your helpful hints document. It should be, it should go to bed with you sometime, if you're still working on things, because you're going to need it, over and over and over again. You're going to need that document. And one more thing I want to pull up, because we're over time and we knew we would be a little bit over tonight. You're thinking about, how do I get started? Now remember, this is not due this week. You've got to get started. So this is what you've got to get started with. Start working, complete your school profile. Start working on that. You don't have to turn it into us this week, but you've got to get started on it. You've got to meet with your principal already and ask permission to lead a new PLC. Now, the good thing about it, Dr. Revis, is they are just starting a brand new school year, most of them. So this is a good time to get on board. You cannot use an existing PLC unless you are leading that PLC. If you're leading that PLC, then we can consider that. But you've got to use a new PLC. And the reason that you may not even want to use an existing PLC is because when you get to task 2 of the AAPSL, you actually are going to begin the work for identifying the most pressing need. An existing PLC may not be addressing that most pressing need. So you will be asking permission to do something over and beyond what the school is already doing to address that most pressing need. Most principals are happy to get that third hand because we as principals we always have things on the back burner that we wish we could get to that we can't get to. So when you get to that place, it's going to be much easier when you talk to your principal, about that pressing need. But you're not at that place yet. All you're going to do is say, we've been tasked with the responsibility of leading a PLC. May I have your permission, to lead a PLC? It could be with your grade level, whatever they want. Let your principal help guide that process based on what the needs are in your school. You must determine who your PLC team will be. Dr. Revis, how many people do they need on that team?
Well, I like to get 4 to 5 at least, besides yourself. And understand you're not going to have find a time when everybody's going to be there. So don't wring your hands over that. You get you 4 to 5 people, and if only 3 show up at your second PLC meeting, keep going. Okay.
And let me tell you something. Don't invite somebody to be on your team that's going to hold you back and be naysayers and just find you people that you can work with and will work with you. Deliberately look for people. Go out of your comfort zone. Find people that you don't work with on a regular basis all the time because they can bring expertise, to the table that maybe you're not familiar with. And again, it goes back to what Dr. Revis says. If you're a music teacher, you really need to find somebody that's in English language arts. You need to find somebody that's in math. If you've got a literacy coach at your school, reading coach, or somebody of that, ask that person. That they're some of the best to be on your team. If your principal would be on your team, that's going to save you a lot of extra time if they're already on your team. If they can't, maybe they will let an assistant principal serve on your team. Just be creative with that, but don't put no more than 5 people at the most. You don't need more people than it gets bogged down if you do that.
Dr.
And then
Stedman,
go ahead.
Dr. Stedman, what if I work at the central office?
Okay, if you work at the central office, then you've got to be assigned to work at a school in your district for evidence purposes. So if you're at the
And for your
central
clinical
office,
work?
for your clinical work as
Yeah.
well, and we'll talk about that. Start on that next week as well. Uh, but you cannot camp out at the central office. You've got to be able to spend time in the same school to get this work done. It can't be in several different schools. It's got to be one main school to be able to get your work done. And if you are one of those people and you need to figure out how to do that, you can talk to Dr. Revis or me based on whose class you're in, and we will help you understand that better. So reach out to us if that is the situation for you. Again, you're going to meet with that PLC that you pick, and your first meeting is going to be, you're always going to have an agenda. You're going to have an agenda. I would have somebody to take a picture of me presenting to the group. That's always proof that you're leading your PLC. That becomes an artifact. Your first artifact is going to be the email. You're going to talk to your principal, but you're going to put it in an email, and they're going to respond back an affirmative response. You're going to say, I've been tasked. I'm a student with Gardner Webb University, enrolled in this program. I've been tasked with the responsibility of setting up and leading a PLC. May I have your permission? And the response should come back from them as an artifact. You have my permission, and I'm glad to help you with this, blah, blah, blah. That's your first artifact. And you're going to meet with them, and you're just going to explain to them your purpose for the PLC and establish PLC norms and responsibilities using the Forger guide. Again, you're not identifying a problem with task one of the AAPSL. Do not begin your PLC by stating what the most pressing need is. All you're doing is getting started. So what do I do this week, Dr. Stedman? You're going to talk to your principal this week. Then you're going to try to get that in writing. You're going to begin looking at your team, identifying 4 to 5 people, including yourself, to serve on your team. And then you're going to have to tell who they are, what their credentials are, and why you chose them. And then you're going to meet with them briefly. You don't need to meet, maybe your first meeting 20, 30 minutes, and you're just going to go over, what the next few weeks is going to look like and what you're going to need them to help you do. We will remind you of this again next week, but we wanted to give you something to be able to get started with. And I will have the helpful hints document. I don't know how in the world, I guess in copying all that stuff, Dr. Revis, I named something, the same thing twice. So I've got to go in and find it, but I'll have your helpful hints document in there before I go to bed tonight. So you will have the correct one in your shell, tonight sometime.
Dr. Stedman, I've got it pulled up. Do you want them just to see what it looks
Yes,
like?
just go ahead. You go ahead. Yes.
Okay. Let me show you just what it looks like very quickly. Now, this is the one I would recommend you printing off, guys. I mean, it's several pages long, but it tells you exactly what you do. And these are almost the very words that Dr. Stedman has gone over. And then it gives you an example. Here's an example of a school profile. Now, guys, if you're doing in my class, I want to know about your demographics, your student demographics, and I want to know something about your school report card data.
And again, all that, Dr. Revis and I expect the same thing. So,
and then here's task 1, prompt 1. Here's it tells about the PLC research. Here's an example right under it. I love this document. This would be my model.
And again, then, Dr. Revis, you're going to send it to me as soon as you get out. I won't have to look for it. Dr. Revis, I thought it was wrong in yours as well. Send it to me.
Well, it is. It is, Dr. Stedman. It's wrong in mine. Okay. I pulled this from my computer. It doesn't have those latest revisions.
Okay. We'll get it to you tonight, though.
Yeah. This is the one I would look at. Okay. Enough said.
Okay. Now, guys, I know that's a lot tonight, but does it give you an understanding of what you signed up for and a direction to get started? And you're going to hear me say this over and over again, and Dr. Revis as well. I promise you, if you listen to us, you are going to grow in ways that you never thought you could grow. Your leadership in 3 or 4 weeks is going to become, you're going to start emerging into that leader, that principal, that administrator in 3 or 4 weeks. It's going to happen. It acclimates itself to you. It's going to happen. And this is the beginning of it. Taking the lead, getting that permission, taking the lead, establishing your PLC, and and just getting started with this. So don't wait until next week. Get started on this next week so we can kind of see where you are next week, because this work, the prompt one that we just went over, will actually be due not this Sunday, but next Sunday. You'll have to turn that in, you know, for us. But we're going to already we're going to get you started, but we're going to already get you started towards, task 2 of it as well. So once you get something completed, you will be juggling 2 things at one time. You will be completing a task and you will be starting a task at the same time. You will be turning something in. Hopefully, it's in completion, but you will be the cycle. And we'll do that through all 5 tasks of the AAPSL. In about 6 weeks, you'll finish the work. You'll finish it up completely in 7 weeks. You'll have about a week that you can breathe just a little bit, and then we'll turn around and we'll go into evidence 2 for the APTEL. But again, I promise you, if you'll hang with us, we're gonna make you so proud of you. Just hang with us. I don't want anybody.
It's
I don't want
overwhelming,
to.
guys.
We lost somebody today. A couple of people today. They got scared last night from the town hall. Don't get scared. Talk to us. If you've got doubts, reach out to us. And again, I told you last night, those that joined, I will talk you off the ledge, and I promise you I won't send you a bill for that one. It'll be for free, and Dr. Revis will too. Please hang in there with us. We don't want to lose any of our students.
Guys,
Okay?
I know we always have some coaches and PE teachers, and the same goes with our arts teachers or anybody that's teaching in a non-tested area. The first thing that you're going to do is you're going to feel insecure because you're not familiar with those test scores. Well, that's okay. You just got to think, I better get used to dealing with it now before I become a principal. So it's okay if you don't understand all about the ELA or the math curriculum or the high school biology EOC. It's okay.
And
Do
we're
you
going to
think your
help you with that. And your
yeah,
team, your PLC team, that's why you strategically find people for your team that can help you in areas that you don't feel as comfortable with. You know, find
get
them
you out of
if
your
you're
comfort
in
zone,
that place.
but you can do it. We've had people from every content area be
Mhm.
successful in this program.
Exactly. Okay.
Okay, are we at the point where we're going to say if you're good to go, you can go? If you want to stay and ask questions, we'll stay as long as you need to.
Okay. Okay. And we'll see you next Tuesday. For those that need to go, anybody that has a question, hang around and we'll just take them as they come. Just unmute and we'll take them one at a time until we answer.
You could raise your virtual hand. That would help us a little bit.
Okay. Dr. Michelle Garris.
Good evening, everyone. I have a question about the course shell. Dr. Stedman, when you were going through the module 1 and you were presenting all of the items that were located, in my course shell, it only has 3 items, which is the enrollment verification and then the town hall. It doesn't have all of the information about what Dr. Rivas has. So I was just wondering, will that be updated for me?
Dr.
Oh,
Revis, you're
Dr.
going to put
Garris, you're
that
in
in
my
there.
yeah, you're in my class. I'll have to go look. I thought I had everything. It gets a little tricky, Dr. Garris, because sometimes you have to click on that and other things drop down below it. But I'll go back and look.
Dr.
Okay.
Okay.
Revis, those are the things that you sent me for your
Okay.
presentation. I've added those in there. So that's what she's talking about.
I haven't added them in, Michelle.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay,
Okay.
and then also the team member names. I didn't see that either.
It's
Does-
in there. Look
And then,
under Zoom Teams or
yes,
peer
it was,
review.
it just had the team 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5, but it didn't have any
It's
name.
in more than one place, Dr. Revis.
I'll go in
Okay.
and check that too. Thank you.
Okay, I
I
just wanted to
appreciate
make
that.
sure that I have everything. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And guys,
Thanks, Michelle. Casey? Okay, okay. Savannah, while Casey's trying to find hers, go ahead.
Hi, I am in the C2 course, and you had mentioned scrolling all the way down and seeing discussions, and we would need to copy and paste our introduction in again. It looks like it might be set up as a page and not a discussion down that far. It doesn't give me an option to paste anything in.
Okay. Savannah, let me look at that.
Okay.
Okay. That's not important,
Okay.
that important at this time, but let me look at that first. And that is under the discussions, right?
Yep. When you said scroll all the way down past week 15.
Okay, let me look under that. Introduce yourself. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Nicole?
Hi, wondering how I access the library when I get ready to research?
we'll show you that next week.
That's
Okay.
gonna be next week. Yeah, that's next week's part of next week's plan. Okay.
Actually, there should be enough resources in your course shell right now that you could go ahead and start writing that. But there is a link to the library in the course shell, and you can go to it, but we're going to go over that next week.
Okay, Rico?
Yes, my question was about the module 1. I had opened module 1. I had pretty much did all the activities that was in there, but I'm still not getting it checked complete. I did it the role verification, so I just need to make sure I got everything done. It needs to be done by the 1st.
Okay, if you've done enrolled verification, that's the only thing that's due by the 1st.
I've got
Okay.
that, and I've also got your introduction to yourself, so you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Felicia?
Hello.
Hi.
So my situation is a little different. I am a Head Start director,
I saw that.
and
Yeah.
so I run a Head Start program, but I'm not actually in a school. And I have a principal of a school who was agreed to be my intern supervisor. So I'm sorry, I thought somebody else was talking. Okay, so
Everybody
what
could
do I need
check
now? I have a
your
whole staff.
microphones.
I'm sorry.
If everybody could check your microphones and keep muted, please, except for Felicia.
Okay, thank you. And so I have a whole team. I have like 22 teachers. How would I go about this? Do I need to go into the elementary school and pick from her team? Can I pick?
Felicia, what I would recommend you do is to schedule, because yours is a little unique. I would set up a meeting with Dr. Revis, and you find out when she would be available, maybe tomorrow, and talk with Dr. Revis about that and let her guide you through this, because you still work with the school district. So, and let her guide you through that. Is that okay, Dr. Revis?
Right. I'll just tell you, Felicia, just very quickly. I would stay at the school where you're going to do your internship, because a lot of the hours that you're going to do for this PLC can be counted towards your internship. Okay.
Okay.
So even if you're only going to work with that PLC, is there a preschool there at that school where you're going to do your internship?
One of my Head Start classrooms, yes.
Okay. All right. We'll talk tomorrow. Okay.
Can I send you an email and set
Yes,
up a
please.
time? Okay.
Text me, Felicia.
Okay.
I'm going to be out of my office most of the day, so just text me, okay?
Okay, thank you, Dr. Revis. Thank you, Dr. Statton.
You are welcome. Stuart?
Yeah, I'm going to have lots of dumb questions, but here's the first one. So you discussed getting books cheaper through Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
Where would one locate that list?
I don't know. You would have to just. I mean, we've had students in the past that got theirs through Amazon. I couldn't even begin telling you that. But if it's
He's asking, where's the list of textbooks?
oh,
for
okay,
our
your
course?
textbooks is in your course shell. It lists your textbooks.
It's under that button about the technology requirements. It's in there. It's also in your course syllabus.
I'll work it out from there. Thank you so much.
Did you
Sure.
find it? You got it, Stuart?
I'll figure it out.
Okay.
I'm not a multitasker.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Casey, did we answer your question?
Not yet.
Okay.
I kind of have a AAPSL specific PLC question.
Okay.
I kind of am in a unique situation as well. We are classified by the state of South Carolina. I work at Dorman, in Spartanburg,
Okay.
and it's a giant high school. And I'm actually at the freshman campus, so we're kind of isolated, but they expect us to operate as one entity. And I was trying to kind of like bridge the gap from our main campus and do like a vertical alignment PLC kind of situation to kind of get us as a unified department on the same page. I was wondering if that would count as my PLC for
Your PLC must be something that's going to allow you to look at test scores, and you've got to be able, it's got to be, because you've got to begin looking at the most pressing need. While that is a most pressing need, it doesn't measure student achievement. You've got to be able to find test scores that's going to measure student achievement with your PLC.
Well, our freshman kiddos feed into the biology, and there's been some disconnect between the biology sections and chemistry sections and our campus, and our stuff is kind of out of whack. So that's kind of where I was thinking, was like looking at those scores and that need.
Right, and as long as you can look at the test scores, then the concept is good, and I have no problem with it as long as you can use test scores and we can focus on student achievement with that.
Okay.
Okay, and then
Yeah, I can make that happen.
Okay, good. That answers that. Kayla,
Awesome. Thank you.
you're welcome. Hey, can't hear you, Kayla. Okay, while Kayla's trying to figure it out, is there someone else?
Yes, Dr.
Okay.
Stedman. And this
Okay.
is N.A. Jones.
Okay, say your name for me.
N.A.
Tanae. Okay, I saw that.
N.A. N.A.
N.A.
Yes,
N.A.
it's Swahili.
The K is silent.
The K is silent.
N.A. Okay.
N.A. I did the verification, but I thought that you said we had to do the verification for you as well. Did I misunderstand that?
You do it in two places. You've got two classes. You've got the class, your regular class in 04 with Dr. Revis, and then you've got me as your coaching shell.
Yes, sir.
And you will find it in there too to do the same thing.
Yes, sir. I got you now.
Okay.
Okay.
And,
Yes.
and, you know, you've done it for my class.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Kayla, did you figure it out?
Think so.
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. I've been having trouble with it since like the tropical storm. Okay, our school report card. The only one that is currently out for my school is 22-23 school year.
Okay.
Can I that data or
You use your most recent school data. The most
Okay.
recent is what you have to use.
Okay, so try to reach out to my principal and see if she has last year's.
Right. So you need to
Okay.
use your most recent school data. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Julia. Can't hear you, Julia. Okay, Michelle, while she's looking, what's your question?
I have a question similar to Kayla,
Okay.
as far as the school report card, because I'm in South Carolina and our school data is embargoed and we are not sure when that information will be released. So would the last year data be so that I can start the process?
You use
Would that work?
the most recent school data that you've
That's
got
out.
available. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And it's probably going to be similar in a lot of ways, Michelle. You know, I mean, you would hope that there would be big gains, but most of the time, it's going to be very similar. Julia, did you get it?
Can you hear me?
I can now, yes.
Okay, yay. Woo, that's so stressful. Okay, I think Savannah had like asked the same question. I just want to make sure. When I clicked under, it was like under the discussion and it said like contact information or student information form, that it won't let us fill it out. I think Savannah asked that. But I
Right,
just
and I'm going to figure out what's wrong there. I'm going to go back and try to fix it. And if not, don't worry about it. And if it's not done this week, I can explain it next week. But as you know, it's going to be in more than one place. So if it's not in that place right now, it's okay.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I
Okay,
think you'll be able to find there's one place that I've been going to read everybody. So if you can't find that second place, that's okay.
right. But I've got to figure out, I can make it work. I've just got to go find out what I did wrong when I set it up. So, but I'll figure it out.
Dr. Stedman, on your class, since I'm in your class, the discussion post style one, that works. The other one that looks like a document, like the icon that looks like a document, that's the one that doesn't have anything.
Okay, I'll figure it out then. Thank you so much, Kayla. Okay, Stuart, are you still there?
Yes, sir. I think I've
Okay,
got it all sorted out.
Did you get it figured out?
I will figure it out. I'm just kind of hanging around to see if
Okay, I just
other
want to make
questions are
sure.
answered.
I just want to make sure. Again, if you could figure it out, I wouldn't get the Bulldog bundle if I could save some money. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, guys. Anything else? Okay, it's been
Guys,
a
now
good.
I haven't checked the chat box. You've been helping each other answer questions, which is great.
I
So
love
if
that.
there's a question still out there, let us know before we log off.
Let me see. I think we've got it, Dr. Revis.
Okay, guys, I
we've
know
got
that this was a long night. One thing that we are having to adjust to, Dr. Stedman and myself, we have always come online 2 times a week, Tuesday and Thursday, and we're not going to do that this semester. We're only going to come on Tuesday, so we may go a little bit longer on that Tuesday night. But believe me, trust me, it's better to go a little bit longer than have a second night that you're tying up.
Right.
Okay.
We try to get
So
it all
bear with
get it all
us.
at one time instead of
Yep.
spreading it out so long. I just think it's more respectful of your time. So, but anyway,
So
guys,
bear with us well as we learn this new routine.
thank you so much. And the thing is, I want to see every one of you next week. Okay.
And if you are uncertain about a PLC, before you go diving in head first, if you're in my class, let me know if you have a question.
Me too.
And same thing for Dr. Stedman. Because you start down the wrong road, you're going to get behind. Good night.
Before we hang up, David, are you still there?
I don't think so.
I am.
Yeah, I
Oh,
just
there
saw
you-
you're in
Okay.
you're in my neighboring county. I'm in Robinson County, and you're in Cumberland County.
I
Uh,
am.
I actually church in Cumberland County at Northwood Temple out on Ramsey Street.
Okay.
So, but anyway, so do you work at central office?
Yeah, I'm a school psychologist, so I'm
Okay.
housed at central office, but I do have offices in several buildings that I serve.
Okay. Have you decided which school you're going to
I
work
have
at? And which one would that be?
the middle school that I serve,
Okay.
Max Abbott.
Max Abbott. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. That's a good school.
It is.
Very
Well,
good.
that's the school, David. That's the school in which you need to have your PLC.
I will.
Okay.
I already
All
plan
right.
to.
Good. Good deal.
He
Look
should
forward
get
to working with you guys.
he'll get a good experience at Max Abbott. Okay.
I'm gonna leave, Dr. Stedman. I'm
Okay,
done.
I am too. Guys, we will see you next Tuesday. I'm gonna go ahead and process and get it into the shell and try to correct those couple of problems that we've got. Okay. Okay, good night.